Hey there everyone, welcome to another BM tutorial. However, this one's going to be slightly different. Instead of the usual walkthrough for a stage, because Vladimir's Castle is actually 3 boss stages in one, I figure it's better if I break this down into smaller parts. Therefore, this particular tutorial is going to be a breakdown of all the enemies that you can encounter here. Here I decided to borrow a little something from a buddy of mine, Cairo Galvin of Team Rushdown. I've made a graphical representation of the threat levels of the enemies to help you guys out. This is my general chart of the threat levels of the enemies that you'll encounter. Always be aware of your surroundings and the composition of the mob that you're dealing with. Not all of the monsters can appear on every part of every stage, so keep that in mind too. The male zombie will only spawn during Frankie's portion of the level. The 2 dark maids and the banshee only appear in Succubus's domain, and the Baphomet will only appear in Vlad's domain. And as a general rule of thumb, the ice creatures do less damage than their normal counterparts, and the flame counterparts do more damage than the normals. In addition to those tips, no enemy in Vlad's castle can panic. The weakest link here is the skeleton. He has slightly more HP than the other enemies here, but he's only got one move, a headbutt. He does the least amount of damage of any enemy. He's throwable, and his one attack is blockable and counterable. And on top of that, his one attack doesn't knock down. It's rare to see him in Frankie's domain. Next up, we have the regular and then fire spearmen. They've both got just one attack, a lunge, that's easily telegraphed. It's blockable and counterable, and don't forget, the fire spearman does more damage than the regular spearman. Both of these little guys also happen to be throwable. Next up, we have the male zombie. Same as before, he has 2 moves. The first is a falling slap. It's blockable. And counterable too. However, it does have a strange property to it. When he first falls, if you've got an attack that swings high, you're going to swing right over him. His second attack is to vomit poison. If you're standing right next to him when he vomits, it'll go right through you, so don't worry about it too much. But if you step in it, it's going to hurt you and slow you down. It has a really long startup, so you can always hit him to interrupt it. It's not blockable or counterable, and if you stand there, it's going to keep damaging you. Plus, it slows you down. He's throwable, though. Next up are the regular and blazing swordsmen. They both have 3 attacks, the first of which is a 360 spin. Now, remember, the fire spearman does a little bit more damage. All 3 of their attacks are blockable and counterable. He spins in a circle, so he can do damage in a circle. Be aware of that. Their second attack is a backhand. It's really quick, but it's also blockable and counterable. The spin does the least damage, the backhand does midway damage, and the lunge does the most damage. While it is possible, I often find it difficult to counter the lunge. Oh yeah, both these guys are throwable too. Next up, we have the archer. He's got one attack, an unblockable arrow. This attack is semi-homing, meaning he'll shoot for wherever you were when he knocked the arrow. Remember, this attack is unblockable, so beware of the splash damage it does, because that too is unblockable. He's throwable though. Next up, we have the red dark maid. Unlike the elemental variations, the red and blue dark maids actually have totally different moves. The red dark maid is a fighter, and she has 2 attacks. The first is this jumping kick, which will knock you down, but it's blockable and counterable. Her second attack is a 3-hit combo. There is a delay between kicks 2 and 3, so beware, but that also makes the third kick really easy to counter. The third kick will launch you, and if there are other enemies, they'll mess you up via combos, so beware of that. Both dark maids behave like PCs, so when you throw them, the regular animation will occur. Next up is the ghoul. He has slightly more health than the average enemy, and he's got 2 attacks. The first of which is a double slap. Both hits of this attack are blockable and counterable. Just beware that they're not instant. There is some startup for them. You can also always hit him to interrupt him. Just be careful, he might hit you first. Neither of the slaps will knock you down though. Just like the male zombie, he can vomit poison too. However, his startup is a little different. In the case of the ghoul, he's invincible while starting up, so you can't interrupt him. The walk for his startup also gives him a 360-degree hitbox, so stay away from him or block. He's throwable. And now we have the blue Dark Maid. She would be the ranged fighter as opposed to the melee fighter. She's got 2 attacks, a double frying pan slap and a fork toss. Double frying pan slap has really awkward hitboxes, and most of the hitboxes appear after the animation has actually occurred, so be very careful. I'm assuming it's a glitch or a bug that they just never fixed. It's blockable, but I've never seen anyone counter it because it's really hard to figure out where the timing is. Her next attack is a triple fork toss. You might have seen this because it's part of the Dark Maid Exocore. They're blockable, but because they're projectiles, they're not counterable. Also beware of the fact that they can be used as a ground pound, so if the mob knocks you down, she might just throw forks into you. She's throwable and behaves like a PC. The reason the ice creatures are so far down the list compared to the other counterparts is because their attacks have different properties. While the Ice Spearman and Swordsman's attacks are still blockable, Swordsman still has the same 3 attacks, lunge, spin, and backhand. Anytime his attacks connect with you, they're going to freeze you in place. It doesn't knock you down, it just holds you there for other creatures to hit you. That also means that none of these attacks are counterable anymore. His attacks do less damage, but they hold you there. Getting frozen in a mob is sometimes the toughest thing to deal with. You can still throw him though. Another monster that only spawns in the Phantasmal Room is the Banshee. She too only has 2 attacks. The first of them is the Sonic Yell. Creates a force field around her that if you don't block it, at any time that it's out, it will stun you. Plus, as you can see, it lowers your speed. However, once you block it once, it's harmless to you. Her second attack is a song. 3 notes that come out at varying angles, and they'll travel until they hit something. Either you or a wall. All 3 are blockable though. What's weird about the Banshee is that because she has no legs, you can't throw her. She also never falls down because she's floating. The second ice element here is the Spearman. He retains the same attack that his regular and flame counterparts have, the lunge. It remains blockable, but just like the Ice Swordsman, all of his attacks are now uncounterable because they'll freeze you in place, which can get very annoying. Remember, freezing attacks don't knock down. However, unlike the Ice Swordsman, the Ice Spearman gains a new attack, this 3-hit Ice Blast. It's blockable, but it works as a ground pound, so be careful. On top of that, if you're behind him when he sets it off, you'll get sucked into it. You can still toss him around though. Let me introduce you to my arch nemesis, the Baphomet. He only spawns in Vlad's portion of the stage, but man is he annoying. He's got 2 attacks, a scythe throw, which is pictured here. It's blockable, but it's projectile, so it's not counterable. You can avoid it with a well-timed jump, however. Like the Ice Spearman's 3-hit blast, if you're behind him when he starts this move, it's going to suck you up. His second attack is a homing spell that causes blindness. If there's a little bit of lag going on though, it won't really home in, which could very well be beneficial to you. Also, this attack is blockable. If it does connect though, you won't be able to see anything for a couple seconds. Due to his stubby little goat legs, he's not throwable. Finally, we come to the Virial. None of his attacks are counterable, and he can't be thrown. He's got 3 attacks, the first of which is a 3-hit combo. Back, forward, back. All 3 of these hits are blockable. You can even jump over them most of the time, just be careful. You can hit him while you're jumping too. If you're really smart though, you could just walk to his sides when he's swinging. The third hit actually has a bigger hitbox than the first, so beware. And beware of uneven platforms. If you're really daring, you can punch him once in between his swings. His next combo is 4 hits. It's 2 180-degree swings in front of him, and then 1 to the front, 1 to the back. All of the hits are again blockable. If you're facing him and you block his first 2 attacks, you're free to wail on him during his second 2. His final attack is a straight uppercut. It's blockable, but in most cases, you can just sidestep it or walk away from it to avoid it. Just be careful. The hitbox is a little bit bigger than the yellow animation. Also, as a random fact, when he spawns in a mob, he takes the place of 2 smaller enemies. Don't forget to like, favorite, and follow me on Twitter. Keep abreast of what I'm doing. Yeah, I said abreast.